You don't just want friends, you want soul friends. So if you know that you're here to go deep and not wide, if you really crave those heartfelt, deep talks where you just feel like, wow, this person really gets me, then you could be a projector. I know that I really resonate with these deeper connections versus having so many where you're simply engaging on the surface level and that's it. And yet, so many people rest there at the surface. It may feel like sometimes the people, maybe in your own family or maybe even in certain friend groups, just can't really meet you at the level of depth that you would prefer to embody. So, what we're going to go over today are a few different ways that I've learned so far how to attract my tribe and people that resonate with me on a deeper level. So, when you are a projector in human design, it's important that you wait for the invitation. That's your strategy for success. So, if you are going out there and are knocking on everyone's hypothetical door, then that can actually have the wrong sort of energy. It's really about allowing yourself to be seen and visible and approachable so that people come to you. It can be thought of as a more classically feminine energy, although people of all gender identities can be a projector. And a caveat here is projectors can invite each other because you can't just have two people waiting for the invitation and have anything happen. So in this case, maybe someone does take on the slightly more dominant role in a romance, or it could also be in a friendship or work relationship, whatever it is. So the first thing is to really deeply understand your energy. So we just talked about waiting for the invitation. And another nuance here is that you're here to guide, not necessarily initiate. So there is an inherent leadership, a more quiet, soft leadership, a stoicism, so to speak, that can exist in the projector aura, where it's really about you being in your power, however you define that. And we certainly go into that a lot in this channel, and being the version of yourself that you love best, that you resonate with most, and being at peace with the fact that not everyone else is going to like it, but the right people will really like it. When you get to a place where you can say no and not be a yes person and say yes to every different social invitation and to be discerning, that is another way to make your aura even more magnetic because you're not here for everyone. But if you try to be everything to everyone, that is how you will fail socially. So just don't. Go ahead and lean into what naturally makes you a little polarizing. And you probably don't need to try that hard. If there's a thought or belief that you have, you can still have grace and tact where you're not left and right, intentionally offending people. But if someone says something, you can say, oh, are you open to another perspective? And if they say yes, then you can go ahead and say what you think. There could be someone else in the group who agrees with you. And maybe that, and we are not our beliefs, but the combination of our beliefs and what we think is a part of what helps us find our place in the world and form our identity. The second way to attract the right people is to understand your strengths and to actively be living this out. So this can be challenging for projectors that are born into a more classically generator type world where it's all, I mean, it's really outdated, right? The Industrial Revolution was how long ago now? And it's all about being a human machine, essentially, where people working 9 to 5, that is not the schedule of a projector. You could even have spurts, maybe you've noticed this, where you get so much done in maybe a 2 hour period. That could take someone else 10, 20 hours, but you're just on a roll. So when it comes to identifying what your strengths are, then once you know what they are, your job is to keep doing it and to even get to a place where you're visible and people can find you. So maybe that means having a website that is SEO optimized in a certain niche. It could be creative, it could be professional. Maybe it means having some sort of a signature talk that you give where people might hear that talk and you're reaching many people at once, virtually or in person. And then people know, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. They have a different spin on it than what I've seen before. I'm resonating with this. Let me follow up with them and see what their offerings are. And if you think of this as like marketing yourself, branding yourself, that can feel less authentic. So, it doesn't all need to be work related. Some of us have bridged that gap and they've identified that, okay, my work needs to be my calling, but maybe there's something that you really stand for in your social circles. You love baking. You love, I mean, there's so many different things that you could love, hobbies. And, it's not to say you need to monetize everything, but to make sure that you're visible in your genius. And maybe you do something else to pay the bills. So I really want you to get even more curious than you already are about what your unique strengths are. And oftentimes, there will be a sense of ease and flow and joy in those things. Not to be confused with it being easy, but there will be ease and flow within it, where time will pass by and you'll wonder, where did the time go? Because you were really immersed in the process of whatever it was you were doing. Okay, and the third is embracing your projector aura and knowing how penetrative and powerful it is. And if you're afraid of turning some people off, and if you know this about yourself and you're a little bit of a people pleaser, and it really is distressing to you when people don't like you or when they don't want to be around you, you got to let that go because those very thoughts are a self-fulfilling prophecy that bring the thing to you. And let's say that you have failed a lot, 3-5 here. We'll go into 3-5 in another video, but basically the 3 line, if you have that in your profile, you learn through trial and error, consciously or subconsciously. And the idea is that many projectors, though, experience a failure after failure of simply not being recognized by the society that we were born into because it has a little bit of catching up to do. And not to say that in like an elitist way, this energy type is new compared to the other energy types. So it's bringing in a new wave. There are going to be people who are projectors who do things a little differently. Like let's say manifestors are like, let's blow everything up. Projectors are like, wait, let's work with what we have, but there's a twist on it. Or they may even have an idea where it's like, let's do something completely different and revelatory. But typically, what I've seen is it's like little twists on existing things that make a huge difference and impact. Let's say that you have been failing a lot. The key to be in the power of your aura is to not let bitterness overtake you and to be so attuned to your own worth that you're able to look at every opportunity, every person as a fresh slate. And who cares if someone else talked smack about you and that person heard it? Doesn't matter. Even if they were that person that, where there's some weird energy, let it pass because it's possible that you came off a certain way upon first meeting and impressions over time can shift. And it's not that over time everyone's going to like you. That's definitely not the point. But there are some people that could have a distaste that grow into an admiration because authenticity is something that not everyone dares to embrace. So if you decide to embrace that, you will at the very least have most people's respect. It's something that people can feel when you're not putting on a front and when you're just kind of like, here it is. And you're able to talk with an element of candor about not just your successes, because this is another trap that some projectors fall into, just talking up their successes to the point where they're not really able to or wanting to relate to people. So that's something to be aware of as well. And the fourth is practical ways that you can align yourself with invitations. So we've all heard wait for the invitation, and then we've heard be the invitation. And be the invitation is not confused with, oh, just do the thing. Actually, be it. No, no, there's a nuance here where you are visible and you are leaving your house, okay? Like you're going out the front door, and sometimes that's literally enough. Like getting in the room or getting in any room, frankly, you are going to be so magnetic to some people without you even saying a word. This is a part of the power. And when a projector is a little too reclusive, certainly there are times when maybe you want to be at home and be in your own energy. Maybe you're grieving, or maybe you're just feeling chill, being on your own, whatever it is. I like to recommend that the people that I work with, and myself for that matter, go out to an event with people that you don't really know once a week or twice a week. Make it a part of your regular existence, and more opportunities will come to you. So, an example of this is actually just very recently, there's a woman that I met at an event. This is years ago now. And within that same year, she invited me to do a workshop at one of her retreats where I met some really great friends. And then years later, so modern day, she actually invited me to be an instructor on a platform that she's working with, an educational platform. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Thank you so much for thinking of me, of being in this pilot program. It all came from me leaving my apartment and her being in the same space and us connecting, her probably coming up to me, or maybe me even coming up to a group that she was in. And, I have my strategy that I like to talk about in my human connection workshops where you don't really need to intrude your energy. It was so freaking loud. You just stand on the slightly outside of a circle of people. And more than likely, you're going to be invited in. You make a little bit of eye contact, a little bit of smile. And it's so nice because then you're not interrupting the conversational flow. And then someone invites you in, the conversation starts, and you're off to the races. And how you know an invitation is right for you will have to do with your authority. So I can speak to emotional authority. In fact, 50% of people in general have emotional authority. So if you have a really horrible feeling about it, or if you have a really great feeling about it, it's not always reliable, actually. So while I'm going to encourage go with your authority, don't go with the initial instinct, especially as a projector. We may not have that gut instinct as an emotional authority. Some types do, like splenic authority and other types of authorities, but focusing on emotional, what you're going to want to do is give it a night or maybe several, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. And sometimes times of the essence, you need to make the choice. So go ahead and center yourself and at least meditate. But typically, it's not about jumping at every opportunity immediately. And if it's right for you, it cannot miss you. And if you're attuned to your intuition, the things that are really meant for you, you can even say no to, and they will come back. So don't worry. However, also listen to that intuition if it tells you that this is a once in a lifetime thing and you're being nudged in that direction. So I'd love to hear what you find most helpful as a projector, or what you're most excited to try out when it comes to attracting the right people. Or maybe even share with us the kind of person that you are calling in. Just put it out into the universe. Just type it out and see what happens. So when it comes to attracting the right people as a human design projector, have patience with yourself, have patience with others, and allow yourself the audacity of focusing on yourself for a time to then be in your best space and best energy to attract the best crew your way. All right, wishing you a beautifully connected day. Until next time.